Good morning, Malcolm Nance. Happy Impeachment Day, my friend.
Happy Impeachment Day. You
We
know,
are.
I didn't get to bed until like 2 in the morning there because I was racking balls too.
Were
But
you? Were
Yeah.
you? And reading the manifesto,
oh my God, well,
the Preza
that's
bomber.
all you can do after a letter like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Okay. So you know what? We keep talking about, Malcolm. This is right in your ballywick, as they say. What he's freaking out about is this Dimitri Firstash story, probably right? Is that this money that obviously is funding Giuliani in this Russian disinformation campaign about Ukraine is coming directly from Russia through Lev Parnas, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And Firtash is tied deeply and closely to Manafort,
Right.
who, by the way, had a cardiac arrest yesterday, a cardiac incident yesterday
Yes.
while in
Yes.
jail.
I'm curious about
Which
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people have those cardiac incidents, falling out of a window on top of an exploding bomb after being shot.
I
Yeah.
just was saying I am not conspiratorial. However, I'm like, is this a polonium-induced cardiac event because Rick Gates is talking so much?
Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know about that, but if I was Manafort, I would be pretty miffed that Rick Gates got 45 days
Well, he's
Yeah.
still
in jail.
cooperating, though, right?
Yeah, he's still cooperating. But then again, so might Lev Parnas. I mean, this may be what Parnassus lawyers were dropping hints that, yeah, they got $1 million from Firtash. But how do we not know that that was not, part of this whole deal and that the prosecutors and the FBI know all about it?
Right.
And this may be the string that they're pulling to lead them in a roundabout way from Russia funding this entire operation using oligarchs and using Rudy Giuliani. I mean,
Yeah.
it can only get deep from here.
By the way, just so people know, if you aren't paying attention, Firtash is also said to be directly implicated in Giuliani's efforts to obtain dirt on the Biden family. In November, he told the New York Times that Giuliani, Parnas, and Fruman promised to utilize connections at the DOJ to help him while he helped them pursue and obtained, fake evidence regarding the Biden. I mean, this whole thing is so dirty. Right,
Yeah.
Rudy's trying to get the DOJ to help them. If they help, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
16 layers of dirty.
Sure, Firtash is wanted.
Right.
you know,
Right.
I mean, and so what you have is you have this Russian oligarch carrying out an operation where he thinks he's paying off and funding this secret operation that, to be quite honest, I would not be surprised if in the end, when Giuliani is arrested, that it turns out that this was how Giuliani was making money, that Lev Parnas was getting money, that Giuliani was getting paid by this and from this oligarch in order to raise these arrest warrants that were out for him. Not to mention doing all of the bidding of the Kremlin, because as you can see, the Kremlin is behind all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it just damages Zelensky. It damages our relationships. It gets us to stop giving them weapons. It gets Russia off the hook for the 2016 election. I mean, this thing is labyrinthine
Yeah.
only because it's money. And like all things money, that flows like water and everybody wants some.
Yep. I mentioned this yesterday, but saved the details for you. In the wake of Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov's visit to the Oval Office last week, Russian state TV aired a segment entitled Puppet Master and Agent, How to Understand Lavrov's Meeting with Trump and Characterize the Visit as an Example of Trump Being Subservient to Russian Interests. The President Vladimir Putin's propaganda, they said, brigades enjoy watching the heightened divisions in the United States and how it hurts relations between the U.S. and Ukraine, writes the Daily Beast. The host quipped that Trump would have to seek refuge in Russia once he's out of office. You said America endorses this option.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, this is extraordinary.
what's extraordinary about it is how many times have we all been called conspiracy
Right.
theorists
Mhm.
by just putting out not even the crazy parts, but just putting out the basic information on the Trump Russia scandal. I mean, we have all these people I call Trump Russia truthers,
Yep.
okay, who are people who say that this never happened from the left and from the
Yeah.
crazy far right.
Oy.
And now here we have Russian television bragging about it.
Yeah.
Bragging
Um,
about Trump as their agent.
Let me just
which,
read.
of course, sending
Yeah.
assets.
Let me read this Daily Beat. Giuliani's efforts on behalf of Trump are bound to pay propaganda dividends for the Kremlin. Putin has expressed undisguised delight with the crusade led by Trump and Giuliani to whitewash Moscow's interference in U.S. elections and pin the blame on Kiev. The emerging narrative from Russian propaganda outlets puts the hypocrisy of Republicans on full display. The Kremlin, having argued for years that democracy is a sham and the West is devoid of morals and principles, can now showcase the GOP as Exhibit A. I mean, how long have you been talking about this? It is they have co-opted an entire party, not just Trump.
3 books worth, and that's why my latest book, Plot to Betray America, is exactly that. There's an entire chapter in there called American Fifth Columnist. And this is where the Republican Party has decided that they will go along with any crazy Russian intelligence-induced operation and rumor in order to protect Donald Trump. America be damned.
Yeah.
So that's why I put my warning out the other day. I don't know if you've read that.
Yes.
But we're in trouble. We're in serious national security jeopardy here. Because while everyone's talking about impeachment, there is a bigger operation at play here. And that is Russian intelligence, and Vladimir Putin have figured out that Rudy Giuliani is the conduit for how they are going to destroy the Democrats, American democracy, by going forward, by having professionals will create documents. Okay, let me tell you something. When you give an agency a few $billion, they can print up foreign money by using the exact same machines. So if Giuliani starts whipping out documents on Burisma and whipping out like documents signed by Joe Biden, which have never been seen in this world, believe me, their intent is to make sure that Trump wins this election. And they will, at this point, as we've seen, do anything. And Giuliani is willing to do anything to make sure that the Russians and Trump and pro-Moscow Ukrainians win this battle and destroy American democracy.
So how do we fight that? I guess would be the yes. Now that you've terrified the bejesus out of me. Yeah.
Well, we can fight it the way that I always say it. And that's sunlight with regards to, the very fact that I'm saying this out loud in advance, it's one of those things like where we tell terrorists we know what their operations are and what they're going to hit. Yeah. Because that means they have to recalculate and reroute. Now the impeachment is giving Trump all of this, grief to the point where the Russian meta-narrative of the Ukraine was the one who hacked the 2016 election comes off as crazy for 60% of America.
Yeah.
But for Trump's supporters, they buy into all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The only way really to hurt them is to do what I do with alarming regularity on the internet. I ask them why they're all commie lovers.
Yeah.
Why?
No, we just had a caller. We just had a caller that said, "I'm going to be an impeached deplorable by the end of the day, and I wear it as a badge of honor, just like Trump will."
Ukraine, if you're listening, send those emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, believe me. So, you've got to do we've got to do counter ideological combat on this issue. And the funny thing is, again, we have been hammered. This show. I know, my buddy there, Andrew Sullivan, and the Glenn Greenwalds, and the Matt Taibbi's, and the Isaac Chotners at New York Mag, all came out and were saying, well, how does he, this is crazy. You're saying Trump is an agent. Now the Russians are saying Trump is an agent.
Eric Swalwell just tweeted that. I got, he goes, I got bashed for saying Trump's a Russian agent, and then he retweeted, the headline, Russian television says Trump is an agent of Russia.
Right.
By the way, so you also said, in terms of the party, you said Trump calls the GOP the United Republican Party. Maybe because Putin leads the United Russia Party, he just cannot quit that man.
That's weird. Yeah. That was weird that Trump called it the United Republican Party. And I don't know whether he was just doing it as a rhetorical flourish to show that the Never Trumpers aren't part of that. But if he starts using that phrase, right? URP. Well, that is the name of Vladimir Putin's party, the United Russia Party. And this stuff is no longer coincidence, right? Nance's law has been long thrown out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Well.
is
Yeah.
obviously part of a pattern of information where people within the Trump camp, within the Oval Office, see themselves as a subordinate entity to Russia. Look, the government of Austria did that. As soon as they won, this was a party that was formed, by the way, by two Waffen SS Nazi officers in 1952. When they won power in 2016, the first thing they did was sign a joint unity contract between their Alternative for Austria party and the United Russia party, tying them together for economic, social, cultural, and political contacts. Is this being done by Donald Trump in those phone calls we don't know about?
Yeah.
Are the
Yeah.
Republicans now completely subordinate to Russia? We just discussed this on an upcoming edition of the Talking Feds podcast.
Yeah.
Where Frank Figliuzzi said, "Are we having a counterintelligence Pearl Harbor, where we don't realize it, but that the United States may in fact have an entire party infiltrated and co-opted by a foreign government?"
By the way, Bob Seska brought this up. Did you watch the Lisa Page interview on Maddow last night? Because he was saying what was disturbing is what happened to the counterintelligence, right, investigation. Because she says, like, yes, Mueller was doing the criminal one, and
interestingly enough, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, all of these guys were the FBI's and Justice's top counterintelligence people. Peter Strzok was the top Russian mafia hunter at the FBI. So was Andrew McCabe, who cut his teeth hunting the Russian mafia in the Rockaways in New York City. So someone realized these people needed to be taken out.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But was her answer? I couldn't tell. Was her answer that someone made it go away? The counterintelligence investigation?
Well, we don't know. According to the Mueller report, there was a counterintelligence component to it, but whether there is still extant a operation where the FBI is going after all the Russian intelligence people that are in the country that may have been related to this, I think that one of my fellow bloggers on Twitter, Olga Lautman, who did research for me, and she helped with Craig Younger's book, House of Putin, House of Trump, on the ties to the Russian mafia are outrageous. I mean, they are the subcontractor for Russian intelligence. So you don't need to see spies when you have billionaire Russian mafia oligarchs who are doing this work for the Kremlin, and every once in a while an ex-spy pops up, but most of them are money fixers who have had deep relationships with Trump.
Yep.
This is where we need to be watching.
Yep. Malcolm, before we go, again, you are so right about this is their narrative. United Republican Party, Democrats in disarray. You keep warning us. Exhibit A, you said Tulsi Gabbard will be the one Democrat to vote to allow Trump's bribery and extortion and Putin's attack to continue. She should just switch parties now. Her own words indicate she will betray that oath. She will betray us all. Word is, of course, she's already trying to push censure, not impeachment, right?
Look, I'll tell you right now, if that guy from Minnesota or Wisconsin, Peterson, decides he's going to, vote present or something like that, Tulsi Gabbard will be the one to vote no against the articles of impeachment, both of them. I mean, she's who knows what party she belongs in. She should just get out now. She should just go, follow the role of Van Drew and just become a Republican, or declare yourself the independent that she's been pretending she's going to be, and she's going to run as third party. She is the Jill Stein of this election.
She's the Jill Stein of Susan Sarandon's.
Oh.
No, I was just going to say, though, real quick. Van Drew, that should be a cautionary tale. Nobody wants him. No. The Republicans just called him a weasel, and they're going to run against him, too. No one likes a weasel. Finally, you said vote for who you love in the primary, but this awesome Joe Biden video is right. We need to stop Trump at all costs. Period.
Good God, if you haven't watched the Joe Biden video that came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, you're going to get a little guy cry
Yeah.
at the end of it, because it is I don't care who the nominee is.
Yeah.
That's the stakes. The
Yep.
stakes are the Constitution of the United States and Thomas Jefferson. This is interesting because Biden put out this thing about Jefferson being sort of a hypocrite. He was a slave owner who was actually having children with his slaves, but knew that we would always advance toward becoming a more perfect union. And over time, our legacy would be that we would become a great nation. And he says, this is all at risk. It is all at risk. This is it. This is the election of your lifetime.
Yep.
And for me,
Malcolm,
it is.
Yep. Malcolm, real quick before you go, Val in Maine wants to know about what that Russian ship is doing off the East Coast. You heard about that?
Oh, God, yeah, the crazy ship. It's out there tapping cables.
The crazy ship.
You know, what they're doing. I mean, you know, one of these days, I wrote this in my book that Benedict Arnold, I gave him such a bad rap in my, when I was talking about him with Donald Trump.
That's your next book, Rethinking Benedict Arnold.
Yeah, I owe him an apology because Trump's not going to be like Benedict Arnold. He's going to be like another major general who was in the U.S. Army at the time, who we found out in 1859 was a traitor. You know, it's going to take time.
Yep.
We're eventually going to find the documents, but I want to see whether that Russian ship correlates to major activities and communications coming out of the Washington, D.C. You know, but
okay.
I find that hard to believe.
All
hey,
right.
one last thing about Van Drew.
Yeah.
Guy wears plaid shirts on a plaid jacket with a pink pocket tuck. What the hey?
That's
y'all?
impeachable.
I'm straight and I know that's wrong.
All right. Love you, Malcolm.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Love you. Treason's greetings.
Happy holidays.
You too. All right.